What's going on, everybody? I wanted to talk to you about. I know I talk and I'm passionate about relationships, and I'm not going to apologize for that because for being a copper colored man and my copper colored people of different variations, as we know, we have the widest range of variations in terms of color. But I'm talking to every man, but I'm specifically talking to men like me. Relationships are so important to me because relationships is the biggest problem that we have in our community. And relationships is the starter to everything that we need to do and accomplish. And we struggling and we're on the bottom of the totem pole, the totem social pole, as people, simply because we have the worst relationships. We have the highest divorce rates, and that's a direct tribute to us being the worst at group economics. So, am I going to sit up here and say things that everybody is going to be happy with? No. Am I going to sit up here and say things that nobody can critique? No. I really think that that's impossible because somebody's always going to have a problem with you. You know, I watched Kevin Samuels when he was here, and I saw how he was giving the statistics, he was giving the numbers, he was giving the data to people, and it's always so comical how people who are in their feelings, no matter what gender they are, how they have a problem with the data. You would think data would shut everybody's mouth. Data would shut everybody's mouth, shut everybody up. But when people start wanting to argue with the data, I don't know why it doesn't come over them that they make themselves look unintelligent. And even when someone who's really good at articulating and using these monster words that people never heard of, as if that's a flex. Hey, look at my vocabulary. Well, what good is an expansive vocabulary and nobody can understand what you're trying to say? Isn't the point of talking to be heard and understood? And yeah, it's cool. It's cool to know big words. It's cool to be able to express and articulate yourself in such a manner and its aerodynamics. But the most effective thing that you can do and achieve when you speak is to get people to understand what you're saying. And everybody can't understand certain words. And this is something that I had to learn because as a copper colored man, as a copper tone man, I don't like color, as a copper tone man, I used to always try to overcompensate the stereotypes of my community so that people could be more accepting of me and what I got to say and how intelligent I am. But I've come to the conclusion that I'm only supposed to reach the people that I'm supposed to reach. My job is to be as authentic as I can to myself and to what I was created to be and what I was created to do. Because I'm not here on this earth, nor you, to reach everybody. I used to worry about so many things that would prohibit me from being able to do what I desired or was assigned to do because of the thought of how someone would receive what it is that I'm saying. Would they get mad? Would they get upset? Would they be happy with me? Would they be sad with me? I used to be such a people pleaser. And what I found is emptiness and lack of fulfillment from doing that. Now, it is a balance. You are supposed to consider people, but you are not supposed to consider people to the point where you don't consider yourself. You have to have a balance of being true to yourself, but doing your mission. And I want to talk to the men today. I don't even want to talk to the women, because I talk to and about the women a lot, because in our relationships, when it comes to the table, the women are leaving the table and the men aren't leaving the table at the rate that women are leaving the table. 8 out of 10 marriages end because women are leaving the marriage. That's about all I really want to concentrate and focus on in terms of the women. So what I want to talk and focus on here are the men. All right? So I put together a 7-point plan for men to get to the place that they knowingly or unknowingly want to be. Because there is no fulfillment in your life unless you live out your purpose. And the thing about your purpose is, who's going to understand your purpose? So do you think that every time you have a plan and a vision, do you think that you're going to explain it and everybody's going to get it? No, everybody's not going to get it. Hold on a second. Everybody's not going to get it. They're just not. People are going to hear your vision if you share it, and they're going to critique it. They're going to talk it down. They're going to talk you out of it. And a lot of times, people are upset that they didn't think of what you thought of. I've seen it happen so many times to people, where somebody will share something, and the person that's receiving it is putting it down, but mentally, you know they're taking notes, because what manifests later down the line is that person end up doing exactly what they were rejecting. So some people aren't rejecting you, they're rejecting the idea of you. Some people aren't rejecting your idea, some people are rejecting the fact that they didn't come up with the idea. And they need to create a smoke screen, they need to create a smoke screen so that they can take the idea and own it for themselves. I mean, that's how I think the U.S. Patent Office was made. All of these great ideas coming from people, and they're being stolen and claimed as if they were their own ideas. Yeah, we live in a copycat world. If you can't come up with a creative idea, you can still steal other people's idea or piggyback on other people's idea, and you can make some profit from it. And everybody's so caught up in being first place. First place to who? You need to be first place to yourself. Be first place to yourself. Did you cheat yourself? You know, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but have you ever seen a horse race? And you ever see that little bunny that's ahead on a horse race? Well, that little bunny represents the fastest time raced at that track or the record. So while the horses are racing, if the horse stays out ahead, if the rabbit stays out ahead of the horse, all the horses, then the horses are going to come in at a time that's lesser than the best horse with the best time. But if any of the horses beat the rabbit, that's the new record. And the next time a race is there at that track, that mechanical rabbit will move at the speed of the horse to finish at the time that the best horse finished. And I want you to think of what your best is. You may not have achieved the best that you've ever achieved, but you've achieved a personal best. And when you have achieved a personal best and you decide that you are going to run your race slower than that, you cheating yourself. You're coming in second to yourself. And when I used to run track, the coach was big on your personal best. He called it PR, personal record. He wanted you to step out on that track every time and beat the last time that you had. He was so adamant about that. He cared about it more than you winning the actual race. I've seen people on my team win a race and the coach was mad at them when he saw their time. Might have won their heat, might have won the event for the day in that particular competition. But the coach was upset because he felt like if your time was this and you did that, you cheated yourself. And he wanted to get to the bottom of why. And you say, well, darn, am I supposed to continue to beat the record that I just posted? That's the way he was. And that's helped me in my life because at the end of the day, you're in competition with yourself, no one else. At the end of the day, you're not in the appeasement. You're not in business for the appeasement of others. You're in the business of appeasement of self. You gotta be happy with you because you are responsible for your happiness. You think it's other people out there that's responsible for your happiness, but they're not responsible for your happiness. You're responsible for your happiness. That's why a lot of marriages end. Because when people don't even know what makes them happy, they just start talking out of their backside about what they're looking for in a relationship. And men notoriously are programmed to say, all right, that's what you need, bet. I think you're worth me trying to meet that need. And the man will go out there and meet that need, and then there'll be a lack of fulfillment for that woman who says she needed that to be happy. Men can't make women happy. Women can't make men happy. You can only share joyous moments with someone, but they cannot receive the joy from you if they aren't right with themselves. So you could be doing all of the right things, but if somebody doesn't have their doors and their windows open to receive what it is, the light that you're bringing in, it can be sunny outside, but if there are no windows open or no windows available, then the light won't get in. Light needs some semblance of entry to be able to infiltrate and get in. The light may be so bright that you can feel the light. Because granted, in the summertime, it can get so hot outside that it becomes hot in your house. But it can still become hot in your house even if you don't have windows in your house. Because the heat from the sun will penetrate the foundation and it will have a direct effect on the temperature in the house. So, I posted this earlier and I said, and I want to read it to you. Okay? I posted this earlier and I said, men can't tell women what she wants or what they want. That is not a man's place to tell a woman what she wants. But, when a man tells you what he wants, do not trivialize it and try to change it. He wants what he wants. The difference is, women right off the rip can ask for what they want because they have the value initially, at least, to ask for it. At least she doesn't preserve that failure and engage. Well, I'm saying that wrong. Unless she doesn't preserve her value and engage in things that causes her to lose her value. Sorry about that. Now, a man already knows what he has no right to ask for. He already knows he has not. He already. Excuse me. I'm having trouble tonight. A man already knows he has trouble asking for what he wants if he doesn't have the value to command what he wants. And if a man can't accept that he can't, that if a man knows that he can't accept hold on, let me get it together. Excuse me, pardon me. If a man is in denial that he has no right to ask for what he wants because he doesn't have the value to ask for what he wants, society will beat it into him that he needs to get on the level that he's supposed to be on. Now, men don't want to suffer an unnecessary beatdown because we battle with our pride and our ego. So we don't want to take a beatdown. We're not looking for a beatdown. And really, a wise man is not going to get into a fight unless he knows he's going to win, unless it's a back to the corner situation. But men don't want to beat down, so like it or not, a real man will shut up, go into the lab, work to the positional right to ask for what he wants. That's his only chance of asking for what he wants. That's why men can't command so much in their 20s, sometimes in their 30s. It isn't until their 40s that they can command what it is they desire. So they just shut up, don't complain about it, and get to work about it. But when a man works on himself and earn the right to have the power, he needs to make his request and have his choice of options. Shut the crap up. He now has the right to request whatever he has the value to wield. So just be quiet at that point. Get out of his way and let him exercise the options that's available to him that he's earned the right to choose from. And stop being a hater. And that happens in our society, fellas. When it comes to what we want as men, society wants to tell us whatever we want, if it's valid or not, if we can have it or not, if it's realistic or not. It's your fault for asking for something that you can't get, that you can't command. I remember when I came to Ohio State. My redshirt freshman year, we went 8-4. Don't quote me on that. We were 8-4, I believe. And we went to this bowl game in Tampa, Florida called the Outback Bowl. And we played against Lou Holtz in South Carolina. Now again, I redshirted. But when we came into that season, none of us was talking about the national championship. It wasn't that we didn't believe that we could win the national championship. We were focusing on things that we could attain. So we didn't talk about those types of things. We weren't negative about those things and we weren't positive about those things because we just didn't worry about those things. What we were focused on is we were focused on coming together as a team. We were under a new regime and Coach Jim Tressel and his staff, and we were trying to come together to get some type of camaraderie. But I will tell you this, some of the athletes that we had on that team was crazy. We had better athletes on that team than we had when we won a national championship the next year. I'm serious. Linebackers. We had cornerbacks that looked like, both of our cornerbacks looked like linebackers, but were fast and athletic. We even had a linebacker that moved from linebacker to cornerback. Who does that? I've heard of people moving from a smaller position to a larger position. I'd never seen in my life someone move from a larger position to a smaller position. But C. Grant was 6'3", 230 some pounds. Yeah, that's a pretty solid will linebacker size at a level like Ohio State. And he went over to corner. And not only did he go over to corner, he went over to corner and he was very successful. Right across from him, we had a cornerback named Derrick Ross. Derrick Ross was one of the smoothest athletes I had ever seen in my life to this day. And he was, what, 6'1", 215 pounds. Looked like a safety. Smooth, quick. And no one wanted to throw his way. So he would bait quarterbacks to throw his way so he could get interceptions. I remember one time in a game, he looked at me directly and he said, I'm going to get an interception. And he did on that possession. Okay. But the next year, we came out and we set real goals for ourselves. We wanted to win the Big Ten championship. I mean, not the championship because it wasn't a championship at the time, but we wanted to win the Big Ten. Whoever had the best record at the end of the year won the Big Ten. We didn't have a championship game. We wanted to win the Big Ten. We felt that every game in our conference was winnable. And the games that we had to play on the road, and I think a big game that we had to play on the road was against UCLA. We felt like we could win every game, but we didn't want to look at the whole season while the season was going. We wanted to put our heads down and we wanted to become 1-0, 1-0. And we won 7 of our 14 games by 7 points or less. So we had a perfect season, and we ended up beating Miami, and they had Miami had like a 22-game winning streak, I want to say, at the time, and their roster was littered with, NFL prospects. Willis McGahee, Sean Taylor, Kellen Winslow. You had Roscoe Parrish. You had Jonathan Vilma. And you had so many players on that team. And, we beat them. And we could not beat a team like that if we didn't have self-belief. And one of the things that helped us with self-belief is some of the steps that I'm going to give you. I swear to you, and my teammates will tell you, we take so many lessons we learned from football, mentally and physically, and we apply them to our lives. And that's why so many of us are so successful. So, I'm going to give you these 7 steps as men and talk about them. And if you apply these to your life, it's not me, but if you apply these steps to your life, these aren't direct. Yes, I came up with these, but these are directly from my experience of my time in this life and at Ohio State. Shout out Buckeyes. We're going to win it all this year. Watch. All right. So number 1, learn yourself. It is so critical and so important for you to know what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you need to work on that you're not good at, and what you're just not cut out to do. Because none of us can do everything. Some of us may be able to do a lot of things good, but none of us are great at everything. None of us are good at everything. The only way you're going to learn about yourself is you're going to have to spend some time with yourself. You're going to have to test yourself. You're going to have to see what you can do. You're going to have to push yourself to the limit. If it's push-ups, if it's sit-ups, if it's running, you're going to have to see how many push-ups you can do at once, how many sit-ups, and how far can you run as fast as you can. If it's making phone calls, how many phone calls can you make in an hour? You have to learn how to play the game within the game so that you can understand what you can twitch to do. If you can twitch to do it, then you have to, like I said about the rabbit, you have to build on that. And you can never accept you performing less than your peak. And yes, you will plateau in your life at some point, but it has to be an honest plateau. You shortchange yourself with what you can do. If you go out there and if you have a business and you go out there and you make $500 and you say, wow, I made $500. Most people don't make that in a week. I think I'm going to take the rest of the day and I'm going to treat myself and enjoy myself. You have a defeated mindset. You do. Your mindset is a complete and utter failure, because the moment you start comparing yourself to what everybody else does, especially if you start comparing yourself to what somebody does on average, you really have a defeated mindset, because you don't know if that $500 that was so easy for you to get in the first part of your day, if you're going to make any more money for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month. You don't know. So you have to have an urgency to strike while the iron is hot. Do your best. Nobody's telling you to compare yourself to nobody else. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody else. Learning about yourself is all about competing with yourself, seeing what you can do. And you got to be honest with yourself in terms of what you can do. So if you're trying something and you're failing miserably, don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as a lesson to tell you this is not something that I need to be doing. Case in point, and I'll use something light. You know, my wife, she folds clothes. And she folds clothes differently than I do. So, one time recently I was helping her fold clothes, and she didn't like the way I was folding clothes. I could see it was bothering her. And she takes her time when she folds the clothes. And I want to hurry up and get them done. So I don't fold them bad. I just don't fold them the way she does. And you can tell it's bothering her because she takes a deep breath. She appreciates me helping her, but she really wants it done the way that she wants it done. And in the past, she's shown me how she likes to fold clothes. Even the way she folds socks, even the way she puts socks together. When I was younger, we took the socks, we put them together, and then we just did like this to them and made them go in and created a ball, and then we throw them in the drawer. She doesn't do that. She takes the socks and she flips them inside out. She puts them beside each other, and then she takes one of them and she peels it into the other one, and then she shakes it out, and it looks like one sock, but it's two socks in there. And that's the way she does it. And you're not going to get her to do it any other way. And so folding, I was in her zone. And so when she was illustrating to me, she said, I don't want to fold the towel. She said, I'll fold the towels. Because she didn't like the way I was folding the shirts in the first place, but she was tolerating it. But she would not let me fold the towels. And then I did get around to folding the towels because I was just moving. And she unfolded the towels and she folded them again. Then it made me feel some type of way. It's like, what, you can't accept that? But she has a systemic way of doing things. And I was in her space. And so she was handling things the way she wanted to handle them in her space. She wasn't concerned with how I was doing it. She wanted things done the way she wanted it done. And it's the same thing with my house. She runs the house because she is here to run the house. So the house moves as efficient as it moves because she does the work. Now, if I'm in a situation where I'm running the house, I'm not going to run it the way she runs it, and she's probably going to feel some type of way about it. So I come to the conclusion that she does things in that department a little better than I do. It really is a lot better than I do. So I have to accept the fact that I'm not as good at doing some of those things as she is. And so I let her take the lead on those things. There's no need for my pride and my ego to get in the way about those things. And when you're learning about yourself, you need to be honest with what you do. And I'm not illustrating this to compare myself to what she does. But since she's on my team, Team Boom, it is wise for me to not handle, how should I say this? Delegating things that you should handle and handling things that you should delegate is a problem. The only way you're going to be able to delegate things that you should be delegating and handling things that you should be handling is if you know who you are. You're not good at ABC. You've tried to improve on ABC. You seem to not improve. Stop wasting your time and go do what you're good at. And then by you knowing what you are good at, you know what you need on your team to make sure that you are well oiled. But if you don't know what you are good at, you don't know what you should be delegating, and you don't know what you should be handling, if you have the pride and the ego problem, you're going to feel like you should be handling everything, and you're going to feel like you should be delegating everything. And it's only but one person in you. You only have two hands to be able to pick things up and do things with. You can't beat the world. If I got in a fight with one person, I feel good. I get in a fight with two people, I still feel pretty good. I get in a fight with three people, I gotta exercise certain caution, and there's certain things that I'm not gonna be able to do. And then at some point, if I'm in a fight with too many people, I'm in over my head. I need to get somewhere safe. I need to run. There's no need for me to fight a fight that I can't win. And even if it's a fight that's questionable to win, I have to ask myself, what's the risk and the reward of fighting this fight? Because it's unrealistic to think that you're going to have a Floyd Mayweather record and win every fight that you're in. You can still be a great fighter and have some L's in your column. Some of the greatest fighters had L's. Muhammad Ali lost fights. But your losses don't define you. Your losses are your lessons to help you. And some people are privileged enough to have never lost a fight. But even though Floyd Mayweather won 50 fights and lost 0, he did lose a fight. He lost a fight in the Olympics. Now, was it righteous? Some would debate and say no. But on that day, the judges scored not in his favor. And there's going to be times in your life when things don't work in your favor. The worst thing you can do is tuck your tail between your legs and go sit down. Get back up, find out and extract everything that there is from that lesson and apply it moving forward. So that's number 1, learn yourself. Number 2, what is your destination? You can't know where you want to go until you know who you are. So when you know who you are, you have to say, okay, where do I see myself going? Show me the desires of my heart. What do I ultimately need and want? And what do I want to get out of this life? And then, as crazy as it might sound to somebody else, it's yours. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open. But if you never ask, you'll never get the answer. If you never seek, you're not going to find it. And if you never knock on the door of opportunity, you'll never get an opportunity. Because opportunity awaits. You just don't know when and where. So you've got to just knock on doors. If nothing else, you got to knock on every door that you come to see if what's behind the door is what you want to pursue. You may not know where you want to go. And if you don't know where you want to go, that's exactly what you need to be doing. You need to be taking every opportunity and you need to knock on it. And when you crack the door open, you're going to get a preliminary preview. That's kind of double entendre or whatever. But you're going to get a preview of what's in the door. And if in your gut, what you see in that door is not something that you want to partake in, close the door and go somewhere else. And don't look back on it with regrets. And somebody may come in the door after you come in the door, and they may make it big. It may turn out to be a great opportunity. It may turn out, you may say to yourself, I'm going to go and play the lottery, and I'm going to let the machine pick my numbers. And then you say, nah, never mind. I'm not going to win. And the person behind you comes in, and they let the machine pick the lottery numbers, and that person hits for what big jackpot it is. It's tempting, but you can't look at that person and have jealousy or regret, or you can't covet to be that person. You have to trust that that wasn't your prize and that a prize awaits for you when you get where you're going. Because winning doesn't have the same timing for everyone. Sometimes when someone else wins, just be happy for them that they won, but put your head back down. But really and truthfully, you are supposed to be so focused on what you're doing, you never get to see who's winning and who's losing around you. It's like watching the news. If you are an avid news watcher, it's going to contribute to your depression. They are going to tell you all of the things that make you upset, make you analyze, and make you paralyzed. But if you don't watch the news, what they say that, and usually how the news works, if it's on for an hour, 50 minutes is bad news, and the last 10 minutes is good news. And I think that psychologically they do that so you keep coming back. Because if they did a whole broadcast day after day of just bad stuff happening and they didn't report anything good, you will become conscious that, man, ain't nothing good on the news. But they'll show you some good things at the end of the news so that you leave saying, man, I'm going to watch that again. That's my thoughts. So knowing your destination is important. Once you know who you are, you have to find out what your purpose is. And typically your purpose is tied to your purest desires. I'm not talking about perverted desires. I'm talking about your purest desires. If you're the type of person that like to help people, your purpose is tied to that. If you're the type of person that like finances, your purpose might be tied to that. But it typically is, once you look in the mirror really good and learn yourself and then try yourself and test yourself, you're going to know what you're good at and you're going to know what you're not good at. And then that's going to help you hone in on your destination. It'll at least put you in the neighborhood of the doors of the houses of opportunity that you're supposed to knock on. But if you skip the first step and you don't learn yourself, you'll be in any neighborhood knocking on anything for anybody, and you're just never going to get it. You got to get into the region of what you're supposed to get into. It's just like when you're choosing, as a man, it's like when you're choosing a woman. There are beautiful women in every category. There are different women of different shapes, colors, and sizes in every category. What are the categories? Good mindsets, bad mindsets, medium mindsets. Okay? You got women in so many different categories. And each category, there are different colors, shapes, and sizes. But if you're in the wrong field looking for a woman, you may find one that you're attracted to, one that you find beautiful, and one that you like to be around. But if she's not from where she's supposed to be from, where you were supposed to be looking, it's just not going to work out. It's just not going to work out. Attraction is just initial. Yes, it's important to be attracted to a woman, but it's even more important to be attracted to the right kind of woman. So I'm not sitting here telling you that there's one woman out there for every man. That can't be true, because if every man decided to get a woman, there would be millions of women that didn't have a man, because women outnumber men. So I can't say that there's one woman out there for every man. I can't say there's two women out there for every man. Some men will get two women. Some men will get more women. Some men will get one woman. Some men will get no women. But who are you and I to tell that man what he needs? You don't know what his purpose is. And just because you don't like the optics of what that man needs, it ain't for you to try to change what it is he's supposed to need, because you think society views things this way and that way. That's when we get in trouble. All right. So when you find out what your destination is, okay, and let's call destination point Z, as in zebra. And the reason I said Z, it's the end of the English alphabet. Once you know where you want to go, I want you to burn that image into your head. If I gave you a picture of a man's face or a woman's face, and I put a dot here, a dot here, and a dot here. Some of you have seen this exercise. And you stare at it straight without fail for 10 straight seconds. Put the picture down and then look up to the sky. You will see the image. Look up to the ceiling. You will see the image on the ceiling. So why is that important? Because you looked at something long enough to burn the image into your head. Because that picture image is not on the ceiling, but it's burned into your head. That's how you got to be about your destination. You have to stare at your destination in your mind and understand the nuances of that destination, the curves, the details. You have to burn that into your image. You know why? Because when you're moving, you're not going to be able to have that actual image in front of you. So you're going to need to have it burned into your head so it keeps you going. It is a helping to keep you going towards that destination. So now that is very important. Once you find out what your destination is, you need to find out what are the pitfalls along the way. That's the third thing that you need to do. So how do you do that? When you get an overview of where you're going, you need to backtrack, which brings me to point 4. So they're kind of tied into each other. You need to trace from Z to A. A is your starting point. Z is your destination. And you need to study that course from an overview fashion. You need to have a drone type view of the overall journey of where you're going. You need to see where the bridges are. You need to see where the potholes are. You need to see where the curves are. You need to see the elements around the road that you're taking. You need to know on this particular part of the path, what kind of traction do I need? What kind of shoes do I need? How fast do I need to move? What's the speed limit? what time of the day and at what point should I be concerned about the sunlight? Have you ever been driving and the sun is at a position where you really can't see? You need to know that so that you can be on that particular point in that destination at a certain time, because it's about getting on schedule and getting on time. Once you find out who you are and you know your destination, you need to get on schedule, and then you need to stay on time, because there are going to be, where's the stampede, where's the herds coming in, what times did the trains come. You need to ask yourself every little detail about your journey and where you're going to go before you actually do it. The mistake that people make is they glance at where they'd like to go. They're not even sure if they want to go there. They glance at it and they just start going towards it. Then when unsuspecting things happen on a journey, they're not prepared for it. So if you know that there's going to be rain, you're going to take an umbrella, right? If you know it's going to be hot, you're going to dress accordingly. You're going to have some shorts and you're going to have a t-shirt. If you know it's going to be winter mix, then you're going to take an umbrella and you're going to take some warm clothing. You need to be ready for it. If you know that the sun is going to be out and it's going to be hot, not only do you need water, you may need to put it in some type of thermos so it maintains the temperature and the coolness. So all of these different things are things that you may not want to do, but you're going to save you, and things that you think might be a waste of time. Man, I could have been on that journey already. No, if the time that you are spending studying the path that you're going to take is going to allow you to maximize the acceleration in which you take your journey. So it's going to actually make you more efficient when you're taking your journey. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that my coaches used to tell us on defense is, he said, you don't want wasted motion. He couldn't stand if somebody was taking unnecessary steps. So if you're supposed to initially drop back in coverage, he did not want you coming forward and then dropping back in coverage. That's enough time for the offensive player to get in the spot that he's supposed to get, throw it right over your head, and be off to the races. Just wasted motion can put you in a bad defense and put your defense in a bad position. So now that you have done the very best that you can to understand the pitfalls along the way, that doesn't mean that you know the path and you ain't gonna make no mistakes and nothing's gonna surprise you. Sometimes, like a tornado, no one can really predict when a tornado is gonna come, but weather forecasters can narrow down what areas should be on tornado watch, because the conditions could be conducive. I remember, yesterday? We had a tornado watch where I live. And the tornado watch was it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. And the tornado watch was supposed to be until 9 o'clock. So all of this time passed, 9 o'clock came, and there was no tornado. That's not necessarily they lied. They were trying to get you prepared just in case. Because if they didn't say anything about a tornado, or you didn't know anything about a tornado, when one sprung up, you might not be in a position to be able to react. So heed the warnings, even if it's not likely. Even if it's not likely, heed the warnings. So now, you've learned yourself, you've tested yourself, you identified your destination, you scanned the scenes from Z to A, and you picked up as much intel as you can to know where the pitfalls along the way are. The next thing you need to do is you need to take a deep breath and shake the dead weight. Now this is going to be probably the hardest thing for you. So what's the dead weight? Well, the dead weight can be people, can be places, and can be ideas. When you're about to go on the journey of your life, you're going to have to let go and say goodbye to people, places, and things. And some of them might be people that you do not want to let go. But you know you can't take them with you because either they're not ready or they're not in a condition to go with you, or they're going to be problematic at some point on your journey. You know that, but you're trying to defy the odds. Don't defy the odds. Don't try to defy the odds. You know, my coach in basketball used to tell all of the players, don't jump in the air and make a pass. He didn't care how athletic you were. He didn't want you in the air making passes because you can only stay in the air but so long. And if you come down, it's a turnover if you have the ball. So what you may end up doing, if you can't identify and locate where you're going to pass the ball when you're in the air, when you come down, you have to throw it somewhere. So now you're taking a definite turnover and you're making it a probable turnover. And granted, probable is better than definite when it comes to turnovers. But you don't want to be in a situation where you're in a definite or probable in the first place. So stay on the ground. Stay on the ground. No excuses. Stay grounded. Yes, it looks sexy. Yes, it looks intriguing. Yes, it looks enticing. And yes, it's going to be a crowd pleaser for you to be in the air and do some majestical type stuff like you Magic Johnson. But no. Don't be a hero. Be efficient. You know, don't start trying to be cute until it's safe. And then I question, is it ever really safe? I would give guys I would play Madden and I would give guys a hard time because they would talk crap after they scored. Or they wait till the game is out of the balance. And then they would get up there and they would start talking. Wouldn't talk the whole game when the game was in the balance. But as soon as they knew they were safe, they would come up there and talk. And I would just cut them off. What would be even better than that is when the game's in the balance, don't say anything. And when the game is out of the balance, still, don't say anything. Respect your adversary. It doesn't mean that you are cowering to your adversary, but give your adversary the respect that they are capable of making things difficult or impossible for you. Don't wake up a sleeping giant. Take your deep breath. You are now at the starting point. Take your deep breath. Shake the dead weight of whatever it is that's going to hold you back. And I don't care what it is. Whatever it is that's going to hold you back, shake the dead weight. Get rid of it. Don't wean from it. Just turn from it. Turn from it. If there was a particular food that you like and you had to have it all the time, you could not help yourself. And you knew that what you're eating wasn't good for you, but you can't stop eating it. And then one day, you find out that somebody's been messing with your food. Or you found out that today somebody messed with your food. You had your mouth all watering for that particular food, but you found out that they put a chemical that was harmful or fatal to anyone that ate that particular food. And I'm being extreme, but I'm trying to illustrate here. If that happened, whether you were addicted to the food or not, you would know, I can't eat that food. Least I die. So you might have to create an objects are closer than they appear type deal to yourself to create the urgency for you to shake the dead weight. If the person that you want to come with you pops off at the mouth and you're going to be around some type of goons that don't take too kindly to people popping off at the mouth, why would you take that person with you? That person could get you guys hurt or killed. You have to draw the line that serious when it's time to go on your journey to shake the dead weight. And here's what I'm going to say to you. Anybody that's supposed to be on your path, that's with you, you're not going to have to bring them. They're going to just come. And they might not be ready, but they're going to want to be with you so much that they're going to get ready. If that happens, hey, that happens. But if that doesn't happen, you got to keep going. You got to keep moving. You can't sit back and wait for somebody to turn up to the point where they're acceptable to go with you. If you want to come with me, that's on you. But I'm not taking you with me because you're not ready to go with me. It's like being married. Do you want to be married to a woman who has to be with you out of necessity? Or do you want to be married to a woman that wants to be with you by choice? Which one do you think you have a chance of having the heart of? The woman that's choosing to be with you. I tell my wife this. My ultimate goal is to be with my wife for every breath that I take from now until the end of the last breath that I take. I want to be with her. But I recognize and understand that at any time, at any point, at any choice, she can opt to not want to be with me. That's not what I want. But she can always opt to not be with me. And it could be for a litany of reasons. But I have to respect her choice to not be with me if that's what she chose to do. But I know what I'm going to do. But I don't always know what other people are going to do. And so even if people make a decision to do something that I don't want them to do or that I don't support, I still have to respect them and the decision that they made. Even if I think it's the wrong decision, I have to respect people to make their own choice and their own decision. And you do too. So the journey that I've gone on in my life, I didn't drag my wife to come with me. My wife voluntarily wanted to come with me. And yes, I would like her to always stay with me. But remember this, fellas. No matter how much you love a woman, no matter how much you love your wife if you're married, your wife can't be more important than your purpose. So if it's a choice between your wife and your purpose, it's not a choice. If she wants to remember the scene from Boys in the Hood? Doughboy and his friends was cut out for what they were about to do when they were about to exact revenge. Because they were thuggish and they were gangbangers. So it was nothing new for them. But Trey wasn't like that. Cuba Gooding Jr. wasn't cut to be that. And he tried to put himself in a position that he wasn't cut to be in, but his pride was swallowed in humility. He came to the conclusion, I'm not cut for this. And if you're not cut to do something, and you get on a journey to do something and you find out that you're not cut to do it, don't let your pride and your ego win you over. Whatever your gut is telling you, you better make sure it's in the right condition first, but you better listen to your gut, because your gut is telling you something that you may not be able to understand and you may not be able to see. Let me out, Doe. And Doe looked at him. And Doe, part of him, you could see the struggle. Like, man, come on, dog. Ricky was your boy too. Ricky was like your brother. Come on, man, don't you want to ride out? But then Doe even, without saying it, he even came to the conclusion, man, he ain't cut for this. And he got a future. Man, he's going to school and he's going to be and do great things. I don't want him. I already know that when I retaliate on the guy that killed my brother, that somebody's going to eventually retaliate on me. He even said as much when the next day when he went over to talk to Trey. And sure enough, in the movie, just like reality, somebody rode on Doughboy and killed him. So the vicious cycle continues. So you got to get yourself out of vicious cycles. And your pride and ego is going to try to get you to continue the vicious cycle, but you can't let your pride and your ego allow you to continue the vicious cycle. You have to get out of the vicious cycle. So if it's from what you're eating to what your family deals with, this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be, man, that stuff is less about hereditary and more about habits. You keep doing what somebody else do, you're gonna keep getting what someone else gets. You want to change that narrative, you have to change your motion. So you got to, as hard as it is, you can't let your pride, your ego get in the way of you not being able to shake off all of the dead weight. Now, I'm not telling you on your journey that you go on, you're going to have to go by yourself. And I'm not telling you that on your journey, the girl that you with, you're going to have to drop her off. I'm not telling you on your journey that your boys that you have are going to have to be cut off, but they may be. And if they are, and you don't do it, I don't care what your destination is, you ain't gonna make it. Now, why take a path without trying to reach your destination? If you're not gonna reach your destination, you want it to be because of variables you couldn't control. You don't want to be in a situation where you don't make it to where you're supposed to make it to because of some foolishness that you did or didn't do. So you have to shake everything that's unnecessary off. And you have to take a deep breath. And the next thing you have to do, number 6, is you have to put your head down. And put it down 45 degrees. Now, why do I say 45 degrees? What's that? If I look straight ahead from the ground, okay, let me show you something. So here's my feet. And I look straight ahead. What's the angle on that? 90 degrees. If I look 90 degrees where I'm going, I'll be able to see clear where I'm going, but it's irrelevant for me to always see where I'm going. That might sound weird, but let me break this down. When you have a 90 degree angle and you cut 90 in half, you have 45. So now, why is 45 better than 90? Because you should already have burned in your head the path that you're going to take. You have your eyes in your head at a 45 degree angle, so you can at least see enough where you're going, but also have the opportunity to react to what you see. Even if you did an immaculate job of burning the entire path somehow into your head, you may forget, oh yeah, that's a pothole. And let me tell you something about a pothole. One time I was in Ohio and I was going to work and it was snowing. And I had a raggedy car. It ran, but when I say raggedy, it was old, it was rusted. It could not take one mistake like a pothole. And it was snowing. I couldn't see the pothole, but there was a pothole on the road and I went across the pothole. When I went across the pothole, and I hope I'm saying this terminology right, the tire rod had popped. So the car was not drivable anymore, and the wheels went like, I think the wheels went like this. They just kind of went like that. So that's what keeps everything together and sturdy. But now there was no support from the rod, so it was like that. So now I couldn't drive the car. All right? Could I control that? Probably not. I couldn't see it. But if I could see it, I would certainly have avoided it because I had always seen potholes on the road when I drove that car, but I always avoided them because I could see them. Had I been looking straight ahead, I couldn't see the potholes. If you're a shorter person, you need to raise the seat up, not enough so you can see over the steering wheel. You need to raise the seat up enough so you can see over the hood. You need to be able to see the potholes because a pothole can take you out in terms of your ability to continue to proceed because you're going to need the vehicle of choice to be able to take the journey that you need to take. So putting your head down 45 degrees lets you see far enough so you don't run into anything, but it also lets you see close enough so that if you see a challenge, you have an opportunity to react. When you listen, I never been to the NFL. Never been to the NFL. But here's what I do know. Deion Sanders was arguably the greatest cornerback of all time. And Deion Sanders was super duper fast. But even Deion Sanders being fast, and that served him well in the high school and the college ranks, he knew that going up against these professionals, that every second counted. So he was an avid study rat of players, coverages, formations, and tendencies. Why? Because he didn't want to rely on just his athletic prowess. He wanted to make himself even faster and a step further to make game-changing plays. So you would see a wide receiver run an out route, and he would run the out route better than the wide receiver. Why? It wasn't because he was so much faster than the guy. Yes, he was fast, but he's playing against other fast guys. The reason that he was able to do that is his anticipation. He's seen it so many times on film. So because he's seen it so many times on film, he believed in what he was seeing, and he reacted to it. Well, that's what looking at 45 degrees ahead is. You're looking down the road far enough. Your headlights don't go all the way to the end of the road. Your normal headlights go but so far. Why? So in the dark, you see enough to be able to react. So if you're going down a dark road, you see enough to react. All right? And the last thing that you want to do is once you begin to put your head down 45 degrees, lock in and go to work. Don't worry about anything else, and don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about the distractions. Don't worry about your credit score. Don't worry about your deadline. Don't worry about your dues. Don't worry about how you're going to pay your mortgage, your rent. Don't worry about how you're going to pay your bills and utilities. You can't do anything about that in the situation that you're in anyway. You're worried about paying some bills and you don't have any money. What are you worried about that for? You're worried about somebody coming and doing something to you and they haven't come to do something to you. What are you worried about that for? You just need to be focused on your assignment. I'm telling you right now, you have to have laser locked in focus on what you're supposed to do. Stop thinking about all that you're supposed to do and just think about the thing that you are currently doing and be excellent at that. If you had taken a walk in the sand and you had on boots and you walked for the last 15, 20 minutes and you stopped and turned around and look at your tracks, all you will see is boot tracks. And you look at your boot tracks and you say, well, I don't really like my tracks being boots. Well, guess what? Ain't nothing you can do about what you already done. But it's something that you can do to change it from this moment. So you don't wean from wearing boots. You just take the boots off. And let's just say you want to take the boots off and you want to walk barefooted. When you start walking barefooted and you're holding your boots in your hand, you are not going to create footprints of boots anymore. But I can tell you this, if you stop focusing and locking in on walking and you decide to look back, all you're going to see is you're going to see still your boots. And that might discourage you from continuing to go. So you can't worry about all of the mistakes that you made up to this particular point. Be grateful that you have this moment and be excellent in your moment. When you're excellent in your moment, you just keep walking barefooted. And there will be a time and a place where you can stop and you can look back. But not right now. Some of you just get started on work and you feel some sweat and you think you need a vacation. I heard Birdman one time say, man, he never took vacations. Now here is a multi-millionaire, and he's saying he never took vacation. Why? Because he had a steadfastness, a uninterruptible work ethic, and he kept working, kept working, kept working. He wasn't concerned with, hey, I made this much money today. Hey, I made that much money today. You have to have a laser focus. Once you do all of those 6 steps, that you ain't even thinking about your bank account, that you ain't even thinking about the creditors, that you ain't even thinking about the naysayers, that you ain't even thinking about your ops, your opponents, your adversary. You're not thinking about any of those things because you're locked in. Because being locked in, once you've done the 6 previous steps, learning yourself, what is your destination? What are the pitfalls? Z to A trace. Take a deep breath and shake the dead weight. Put your head down at a 45-degree angle, lock in and work. When you lock in and work, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Because here's what you need to know as a man. No, you're not a woman. No, you don't have a biological clock. But you and I are both expiring. Let me say that again. You and I both have an expiration date. The comical thing about it is, you don't know when your expiration date's going to be. Some people die at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. But just because somebody died at 90 doesn't mean you're going to die at 90. You may make it past 90. It's 2 things for certain, 3 things for certain. You're going to make it past 90, you're not going to make it to 90, or you're just going to make it to 90. Guarantee you one of those 3 things are going to happen. And yeah, nobody really cares about thinking about death. But here's some encouragement. Were you created or do you exist? See, because energy wasn't created. Energy always exists. So your body was created, but the energy that is housed in your body, your spirit, it wasn't created. It exists. It comes from the source. So when your energy is finished with your body, surely your body has an end, but your spirit is what lives. So you never really, ever really die. You and I don't ever die. But the bodies that we're in expire. Now, I may not look like 41, but I can tell you for sure I don't look like I'm 21. I've aged. At least past the point of looking 21. I have gray hairs. I don't look like I'm 21. I don't even feel like I'm 21. My body is expiring. And yes, there are things that I can do to help with preserving my body. But give me a break. I can't be 80 years old and look like I'm 10. I don't have the Benjamin Button syndrome. I don't. I mean, I don't have the Billy Madison syndrome either, but I don't have the Benjamin Button syndrome. I'm going to age at the pace that I'm aging. I'm going to get the ailments of what I am going to get. Now, I can watch my diet and I can do those things, and certainly I am doing my best to do those things, but I am going to expire one day. It's going to happen, and so are you. And if you are delusional and you try to avoid or you try to lie to yourself that that's not going to happen, that's what's going to happen. So, why do I say that? Because you don't know how long that you have here on this earth in the form that you have. You need to lock in, you need to stay on schedule, and you need to stay on time. Why? Because you need to get where you're going as soon but efficiently as possible. Not rushed, but you need to get there as soon as you can so that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor as long as you can. If I told you, take your time, I'm going to give you $10 million. You'd say, I say, are you going to take it? You'd say, absolutely. But if I told you, hey, I'll give you $10 million right now if you agree to death tomorrow. Or I don't give you $10 million and you won't die tomorrow. Now, which one are you going to choose? For those of you that say you're going to choose $10 million, you don't get it. Because what good is $10 million when you're dead? You can't take anything with you when you leave. So that's why it's important to shake the dead weight. You are practicing leaving behind invaluable and valuable things and people. You can't be attached to anything on this earth so much that it gets you off your rocker in terms of your purpose. You got to be willing to sacrifice all people, all places, all things, and all ideas for one reason and one reason only, your purpose. That's how critical it is to find your purpose. And if you have to spend longer time than you'd like to trying to find your destination, then that's what you got to do. But you can't cheat these 7 heavenly steps. You have to complete each step before you go to the next step. And so we live in a society today where we don't want to go through the steps. We want a shortcut and get there. Ain't no shortcuts. And for the people who get there with the shortcuts, they're not going to be able to handle what they receive when they get to their shortcut. Now, when they get to their destination. Now, why would I want something that I can't handle? Why would I ask for something that I can't handle? But when we don't know what we are, when we don't know who we are, we ask for things and we know not what we're asking for. You have no business asking for some of the things that you're asking for. And to be honest, some of the things that you're asking for, you're not even supposed to ask for. It ain't even good for you. You want something because you saw somebody else have something. Have a mind. Ask yourself, what do you need that for? And as a man, it's less about what you want. We're supposed to create what we want. We're supposed to only be concerned about what we need. Whether you think it's allegorical or not, these stories help illustrate a point. Moses was given a stick. He had a lot to do, but Moses was given a stick. Why? Because that's all he needed. If he needed something else, he would have got something else. But because he needed a stick, he got a stick. And he acquired along the way. But like a man, we have to create value. We're not women. Women are born with their value. It's intrinsic. Intrinsic. That means it's inward. All of the value that a woman has, she does not have to work for. She is given the gift of value from the day she's born. Men aren't like that. We are not given the gift of value when we're born. We have capabilities. We have possibilities. We have potential. But we don't have anything that's ours from the gate that we can hang our hat on for value. By the sweat of your brow shall you eat. So you have to go out there and you have to create the value for yourself. And you might be a person that has a lot of potential. But potential without work is like prayers without work. It's dead. And so many times, like when we went to college and played college football, so many guys on the team had potential, but so many guys on the team, but only a few guys realized their potential. And I don't want to name names, but I'm included. I had potential, but that potential wasn't realized. No excuse. Can't sit here and tell you, oh man, I caught a raw deal when such and such and such happened. No. I had potential. Potential got me there. But potential didn't take me where I thought that I should go. But during that time, I didn't know myself. Not define myself. Because you spend your whole life and everybody's telling you who you are. Oh, Lee, you're a singer. Oh, Lee, you're a basketball player. Lee, you're a football player. Lee, you're an artist. You can't tell me who I am. You don't know me enough to tell me who I am. My own mother can't tell me who I am. She can have a better idea than most. She has the closest vantage point than most. But my own mother can't tell me what I'm supposed to be. That's between me and the Most High, my higher self. God, as some of you refer, Allah, whatever it is that you refer to, that's between you and spiritually who and how you deal. You should be able to lock in because you're detached from everything that was holding you back. That's the importance of shaking the dead weight. So now you're locked in. You should know what your tasks are on a day-to-day basis, and you are to complete them on a day-to-day basis. And you're to strain too, because if you get finished with your task early, that don't mean turn in. You got more energy, work. You can do a little bit more, do it. Because what did I say? You need to be trying to get to your destination at the time you're supposed to get at your destination. That rabbit, that's your personal best. You need to be doing your personal best in which you are locked in every day, every hour, every minute, every second. You need to be giving it your best. And sometimes your best might not be your usual, but you better not cheat yourself. You better give yourself your best. Stop looking for sleep and allow yourself to get rest. You ever dozed off for 5 minutes? Felt like it was 8 hours? Yeah, that's rest. Or you ever went to sleep for 8 hours? It felt like you only slept for 5 minutes? Congratulations. That's sleep. So now what you gonna do? Stop worrying about your vacation. Stop worrying about your rest. You were put here for a sole purpose. You are to find out what that purpose is and you are to do it. But you can't find out what your purpose is. No way in heck. If you don't, if you cheat the steps. So fellas, I'm telling you right now, do these 7 steps. Don't delay. Do them today. Don't say I'm going to do them Monday. Don't say I'm going to do them the first of the month. Don't wait for New Year's resolution to make the change. And for goodness sake, don't wean away from the things that you know that are holding you back. Cut them off cold turkey. And whatever you have to conjure up with the figment of your imagination, do it. You need to have objects in the mirror are closer than they appear approach, because that will create a sense of urgency for you. Now, you might have a weak discipline muscle, so you might have to manufacture motivation to get your muscle of self-discipline exercised enough to be able to consistently carry you. So you might have to lie to yourself. If you ever watch this movie called The Program, there's this linebacker, and right before the play, he makes up and conjures up these stories that make him mad about the player that he's trying to attack. You trying to mess with my sister? What you say about my mother? Man, I didn't say nothing about your sister. I don't know your sister, man. I didn't say anything about your mother. It's futile. He's already psyched himself up to give him the energy that he needs to crush his opponent. You need to develop some of that too. Because you know, the commonality between great ones is they can sometimes look crazy and or cynical, fanatical even, about what they're doing. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James achieved the greatness that they achieved because of an unbelievably crazy belief in themselves, an unbelievably crazy work ethic, and an unbelievably crazy mindset. So, fellas, you don't have a chance to make any kind of request in your life until you achieve the value that supports and commands you to be able to wield that choice. So if you want to live in a nice house, you want to drive a nice car, you want to wear nice clothes, or anything frivolous that you want, or anything meaningful that you want, you're not going to get it unless you get the value that gives you the choice, that gives you the opportunity to pick what you want to get. And it's not enough. Once you get what you want to get, you have to maintain it, protect it. Because guess what? When you get something of value, nobody's going to just openly let you sit around and just free willy just enjoy your value. Misery loves company. So when people see you succeeding and when people see you winning, these people that you think love you and that care about you, they will set you up. But you will be able to see the snakes in the grass if you cut your grass. You'd be able to identify who's rocking with you and who's not if you shake the dead weight. Some people ain't telling you this, but they do believe that you're going to make it to the next level. And they don't even like you, but they pretend to like you so that when you get to the next level, they feel an entitlement to be able to have access to the fruits of your labor. So you got to essentially, when you learning yourself, you testing yourself, you got to test the people around you. The story in the Bible about Abraham and Sarah. The Most High told Abraham to leave his family behind. But his family wanted to come anyway. If they want to come, they can come. But when they come, you need to make them clear about the expectations of what they're going to have to do to stay on the path. And some of them will come and they won't last because they ain't had no business coming. Some of them will come because you're the motivation for their development and growth. They know that when they come with you, they have to shed the dead weight to come with you. So they leave and forsake everybody to come with you. It's like when you get married, right? You break your branch from your you break your branch and you leave and you cleave. You can't be over here and over there. You are not omnipresent. You're not omnipotent. These bodies are going to prevent that from happening. But by the same token, somebody wants to come, somebody wants to make the necessary changes. That's what it is. Look, if some of you know me through the years, you know that I was much bigger than I am right now. Okay, right now I'm 228 pounds. But I was as much as 315 pounds. Just completely let myself go. And I had the hardest time getting in the gym and sticking to it. But it wasn't until I made a direct deal with myself and I said, I talked to my doctor. My doctor had said, hey, listen, you're going to need a knee replacement if you continue to hold on to that weight. So that's what made me stop playing basketball, because even at 315, I would still play basketball, but I just had a terrible eating habit and I was just gaining weight. Well, I stopped playing basketball when they said that. Just like I gave you the example of your favorite food and you're finding out that there's some biochemical poison in your food. It's not a wean at that point. It's I can't eat that because it's going to kill me. Well, I knew that I didn't want a knee replacement So I said, but I have to lose weight. How am I going to lose weight if I can't run? I promise you, all that I did was walk every day for 1 hour and try to achieve 10,000 steps. Then I got to a point where I wasn't counting the steps and I was just starting the clock and stopping the clock and then making sure my strides were right. Why walk? Number one, because running is actually endangerment to your heart. Number two, the weight that I had on me would have rushed me to need a knee replacement. The third thing is, I knew that my doctor had told me, hey, look, I want you to walk 15 minutes a day. I said, I'll do you one better than that. I'll do an hour. And so, not going to do the math. 315 subtract 228, that number is what I lost. And it wasn't a gym membership. It wasn't calisthenics or anything. So I'm smaller now. My body looks soft. But it's a process. Once my body gets to the place, because I still have weight to lose, once my body gets to a place that I will know at that time, then I will incorporate and institute, if you will, the type of exercises that will tone the areas that I want to have toned. I do not need to be a really, really big man because that's a weight on my heart. So I want to be optimally healthy. So that's what I've done. Another thing that I've done, and listen, I can't predict the future. This is my focus. My focus every day for the last week has been no meat of any kind. Cold turkey. And I've been having withdrawals. I don't care. My discipline says no meat. And that's what I'm going to do. And what that turns into for me doesn't matter what people think, because I ain't doing it for the people. I'm doing it so that I can be around for my family. And there's other things that I'm instituting for immediate change. But I'm locked in. There's 6 million ways to die. I'm only going to die one way. There's 6 million things to do to make money. But I'm going to focus on doing one thing and get that going. Then I'll go and do something else and get that going. And I don't think that'll ever stop. Because it's not about how much money you have. It's about working and locking in. So again, you do those 7 steps. It comes from the stock of a proven formula. My brothers all around the country that played with me on the team and played after me, I can't speak for the befores, but they are successful too. I know some of them. But there's a semblance of success for the guys that were on that team. It was because of the leadership. Coach Trussell wasn't trying to get the best out of us for 4 years. He was trying to make sure that the next 40 years of our lives would be as best as possible. And I'm grateful for that because I didn't have my father in my life. So just a short amount of time that he was, as well as shout out to Coach D'Antonio, shout out to Coach Mel Tucker. They instilled in me, uncomfortably at times, but righteously, the things that I needed to do. And I'm sharing that with you. So now, when I go on tour and I'm doing these speeches and I'm giving these seminars and things of that nature, I'll share more things with you. But make sure, if you can do me a favor, like the video. If it helped you, and you definitely got to this point, like the video. Subscribe to the channel, because I will be in content mode. And share this video, because men around the world need to wake themselves up and become the best that they can possibly be, because we are all a part of the body. All of us make up the Most High. We are fragments of the source, but together we are the source that need the source. So no matter what you believe, that's fine. But the source is the source, and you know you depend on the source. So get the source and focus on the source. Take care.